All right, should be good there. Let's get this as quickly as possible. So Monday. How y'all doing on this Monday? Love it. For the double back. Monday. Wait, let me I want to do this. Copy that. Boom. Alright, and then you can take this. Yep, make that its own thing. Bada bing, bada boom. We come right here. Alright. Let's wait. Alright, we good. Yeah, we're good. Let's get this show on the road. Alright, we already know how this is gonna go, so I'm gonna get through this as quickly as possible, and then we'll talk about some of the other stuff that's gonna happen next week. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Ravens flock, AFC North, fellow rivals, I guess. Welcome to the Week 10 AFC, or Week 10 State of the AFC North address, however I call these things. This was a very interesting week for the AFC North. Not much has really changed. Things are relatively the same. Now, we didn't have all 4 teams in the AFC North play today, or not play today, but play this week. However, it was interesting enough within the AFC North that it feels like we gotta address it to an extent, so we will do so. Obviously, we gotta, get Cleveland out of the way. The Browns had their bye week, so obviously they did not play on Sunday. So they already had their bye week. They got stomped by the Chargers last week, so that's kind of how their game went. They're 2-7 on the season. They got their bye week. There's not much really to say about Cleveland. The deeper we get into the season, the more we talk about the AFC North, the less we look at the Browns and say anything. We know Cleveland's season's over. Let them take their win against the Ravens and kind of just go with it. See, I think the rest of the season for the Browns is really just focusing on who deserves to be here for the team moving forward. Which players do you want to keep? Which players are you good moving forward from? And where do we go next? I don't know the direction of the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, the whole situation with Watson will come into play when he gets back, probably mid-November next year. He's not going to be the guy, but right now, the Browns are in such a horrible situation. You don't exactly know what's the next move for them. In terms of this season, it's just about finishing strong and seeing who you should keep on this team moving forward. Who are your key pieces the franchise needs to have here when you head into the next era of Cleveland football, which is starting to rebuild and going from there. So there's not much to really talk about Cleveland. They didn't play this week, and they're pretty much irrelevant at this point in the season. We do have 2 games to talk about, though. Usually I would start off at the top in terms of who's leading the division, but I have to sit back and talk about the craziness that happened last Thursday Night Football. So, last Thursday night, AFC North matchup, you had the Ravens, you had the Bengals. Now, the Ravens and Bengals played back in Week 5, and that performance in Cincinnati was just crazy. It felt like a movie watching the Ravens and Bengals go at it Week 5. That's a serious candidate for game of the year. That's how crazy it was. Burrow threw 5 touchdowns, threw an interception. Lamar had 4 touchdowns. He had a crazy play. That's going to be one of the candidates for play of the year, though again, Saquon's going to win it. But that game was crazy. It goes into overtime. Ravens get the ball first. They fumble it. Bengals get the ball. They play very conservative, choose to kick the field goal. They miss the field goal, and one Derrick Henry run later, and the Ravens escape Cincinnati with the win. Here we are 5 weeks later, week 10, a rematch in Baltimore, primetime Thursday night football. The Ravens headed into that game 6-3. The Bengals head into that game 4-5. A win for Cincinnati would have made them 5-5. They would have officially reached 500, and they can erase everything that had happened this year. They're now 500. You can only continue to go up from here. Baltimore with the loss would have dropped to 6-4, and things get a lot more complicated for them in terms of not only battling for the division, but now you're looking at the playoff seedings, and it's starting to get a little bit dicey. So Baltimore needed that win for their chances to still compete with the Steelers in the division, as well as try to fight off those other playoff teams like the Chargers that, are right there. And Cincinnati needed that win just to get themselves back on track because they are out of the playoff race right now, and they're also fighting with the Chargers and the Broncos to get a playoff spot right now in the wild card. So a lot was on the line Thursday night, and the game went just as predicted. It was another movie. The Ravens and Bengals put up two of the best games we've seen this season. They played arguably the two best games. Thursday night football was a treat. The game went exactly the way it went in Cincinnati. Baltimore offensively was not really doing much in the first half. It was a low-scoring game for both teams, but offensively, Baltimore wasn't doing much. Cincinnati was able to take the lead just before halftime, just like they did in Cincinnati back in Week 5, though that was a 17-14 lead, as opposed to here, it was a 14-7 lead. So offense didn't really show up for the first half. Defense was actually doing their jobs, making stops for both teams in the first half. Then you get into the second half. Cincinnati takes a double-digit lead, just like they did back in Week 5. And at that point, everything goes chaotic. Things start changing up. Baltimore's going back and forth. Though in this case, they were able to close the gap and take the lead, as opposed to when they played in Cincinnati, it was a fight to just tie the game up. So yeah, in the first half, not much is happening offensively. Joe Burrow's playing well, Lamar Jackson's playing well, but the defense is doing a good job in stopping them. The Ravens' offense was a bit iffy in that first half. But second half comes up, Bengals, Ravens get the ball coming out of halftime. They don't do anything with it. They punt the football. Cincinnati with one play, 67-yard touchdown, Jamar Chase. A catch and run, he just takes it. None of the defenders can touch him. He's too fast. Touchdown. 21-7 game. Baltimore gets the ball back. They get up to near midfield, and they eventually have to punt it on a 3rd and long situation that basically came up with nothing. There's the punt. And now the Ravens are getting very nervous because their defense can't stop anything right now, and it's 21-7. Then all of a sudden, the guy that's been playing at the all-pro level, the guy that made a play in both games that ultimately changed the momentum of how those games went, did it again. I'm just saying. It's been funny watching how people have been on Humphrey's case in previous years, and now people were looking to be on his case this year because of, his injury history. But the guy's been an all-pro. He's been playing like an all-pro, Pro Bowl, all-pro type level. The guy that made the play in Week 5 was, of course, Marlon Humphrey. He was lined up one-on-one against Jamar Chase, and he picked off Joe Burrow to give the Ravens a chance to tie the game up, which they did. It goes into OT. In this situation, the Ravens were down 21-7, and Cincinnati was just not going to be stopped. Somebody needed to make a play, and here comes Marlon Humphrey stripping the ball out, causing a turnover. Ravens recover it, and at that point, they take it. They score a touchdown. Not much to really say there. It becomes a back-and-forth affair. Now it's 21-14. Ravens defense gives up a couple first downs. They make a stop. Baltimore gets the ball back, and all of a sudden, it's off to the races for Tylan Wallace. Who would have thought Tylan Wallace would have made a huge play like that? Tylan Wallace, down the sideline, 84-yard touchdown. It's a 21-20 game. Tucker misses the extra point. Chaos ensues. Cincinnati gets the ball back. They don't do anything with it again. They get stopped. Baltimore gets the ball. They go down the field. They score a touchdown. 3rd and 9 throw. Lamar hits Andrews. He takes it into the end zone. Touchdown Ravens. They go for 2. Get the 2-point conversion on Lamar just, running it in. And it's 28-21. The very next play. First play of the next drive for the Bengals. Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase, 70-yard touchdown, bang, bang, right there, tie game, 28-28. Ravens get the ball back. Lamar nearly threw a pick, but it was not caught cleanly. It bounced off the turf, incomplete. Lamar would calm down after that and just move them down the field. He would get to the goal line, 3rd down and goal. Lamar would throw a jump shot pass to Rashad Bateman. Touchdown Ravens. They take the lead. Bengals get the ball to try to tie the game and send it to overtime. They go down the field thanks to the defense committing multiple penalties. I mean, bad penalties. Multiple penalties. They get to the goal line. 3rd down and 3. Joe Burrow hits Jamar Chase at the back of the end zone. It was a beautiful throw. Touchdown. Over the hands of 2 defenders. Touchdown. They decide to go for 2. Because last time we had seen it went into OT. The Bengals did not want to go to OT in Baltimore. They went for the win. They're on the road. They need this. They're going to be aggressive. They went for the win. Controversial decision there. And it led to a controversial ending because multiple flags should have been thrown. The 2-point conversion is no good, but multiple flags should have been thrown. I see people only talk about one part where they'll look at the aspect to say, yeah, there should have been a face mask, there should have been a hold, and there should have been some sort of personal foul for hitting Burrow in the face mask. But if you also look there should have also been a holding call offensively against the Bengals. So the worst case scenario should have been penalties offset, we retry the 2-point conversion. And who knows, maybe Cincinnati decides to still go through with it and they get it, or they miss it, or they could just choose to kick the extra point and we go to overtime. And no matter how you looked at it, Baltimore still did have 2 timeouts and there was 36 seconds left. So Lamar potentially could have let them down the field for a game-winning field goal no matter how the circumstances was. It's just unfortunate the game did end like that. It is what it is. Ravens got the win. Bengals take a tough loss, and now they're in for a challenge. Their margin of error is now shorter. I do not believe they're going to make the playoffs at 9-8. They can afford one potential loss. They got to go 10-7. But when you look at their schedule, they've got 2 teams that they're fighting with, and they face off against both those teams. The Chargers and the Broncos. Both of those teams have the playoff spot that the 2 remaining playoff spots that Cincinnati wants to get. They have an opportunity to beat both those teams. If they blow it against those 2 teams in those games, Cincinnati can kiss their playoff hopes goodbye. So it's coming down to the wire for the Bengals. They got to figure it out. They get to take on that test immediately. Biggest game of the season next week. Sunday Night Football. Bengals, Chargers. The Bengals take on the Chargers next week with everything on the line. If they lose to the Chargers, the chances of them getting a playoff spot drops even more significantly, especially because they're fighting with the Chargers to get a playoff spot. If they lose Sunday night to the Chargers, I don't know if Cincinnati will be able to recover. It may become a situation where they're just going to miss the playoffs. Meanwhile, Baltimore next week has a grudge match. It's Renegade's time. It's Renegade's time. Grudge match for the division early on. Well, not even early on, but midway through the season. They've got a date with the Pittsburgh Steelers next week. We'll get into that throughout the week. But yeah, that's pretty much the one game that we had in terms of the AFC North matchups. Now it's time to talk about the other game. This one hurt. This one hurt. Oh my God, this one hurt. It has been a long time since I've spazzed out about a game the way I spazzed out about this game, man. So the Pittsburgh Steelers came down to Northwestern Stadium to take on the Washington Commanders in Landover, Maryland. Of course, I was at the game. Obviously, I was there. And let me tell you, man, the emotions were high. It was already a tough situation to deal with because, first of all, I'm surrounded by Steelers fans. So there's nothing I can do about that. And they won't shut up. They do. The Steelers fans always travel and they do everything possible. They do everything possible to take over a stadium. Surrounded by thousands of Steelers fans that would not shut up before the game started. I had to hear "Here we go Steelers" 2 hours before the game even started. And they would not shut up and they would not get in their seats and they kept saying that. And I just had to get away from that. The game kicks off and I'm feeling somewhat confident that the Commanders can win this because I believe offensively, worst case scenario, If the defense doesn't deliver, the offense will be able to deliver. It's a back and forth affair. The Pittsburgh Steelers play the exact same way, and it's always pissing me off. They will always find a way to get some sort of advantage against the team, and you'll think, okay, they're about to just dominate. But then they'll do something stupid. I don't understand why you choose to go for a fake punt on a 4th and 18 situation inside your own territory. They went for it. It was open. The play could have been made. It was just too risky to do. It fails. So, start things off. It was a back and forth affair, but the team that got it going scoring-wise early on was the Steelers. Russell Wilson hits George Pickens in the back of the end zone. Beautiful catch. Very difficult catch, but George Pickens has made a career in making these type of plays. He has that catch over St. Juice for the touchdown, which we're not going to get into that guy. Early 7-0 lead. Steelers defense doing a great job putting the pressure on Jaden Daniels. He's not really being able to connect with anybody. He's not even having time to throw. So the Washington's offense is really looking for a spark. And the Steelers gave that spark to the Commanders' offense by going for that fake punt. It puts them on a short field, and of course the Commanders would not blink. They would take advantage of that. They would score a touchdown. It's a 7-7 game. More back and forth affairs. The Commanders' defense is making stops, but so is the Steelers' defense. And neither team is really having an opportunity to really do much here. Neither team is really having an opportunity to really take advantage of the situation. It is what it is, though. Steelers, just before halftime, they go down the field. They score a touchdown. It was to, what was his name? Pat Frymuth? Yeah, or Pat Frymuth. It was to him for the touchdown. He got it. And they took a 14 to, actually, no. The Commanders were able to get a field goal, and then the Steelers were able to score a touchdown to take the lead. It was 14-10 at that point, just before halftime. Commanders get the ball just before halftime. They have an opportunity to go down the field, score a touchdown, and make it a 17-14 game. And they proceed to do just that. It was a really good drive by the Commanders. They got down to the goal line, they scored a touchdown, and took a 17-14 lead heading into halftime. So I'm sitting there, we're at halftime, I'm watching this, I'm like, okay, we're good. Steelers fans just still running their mouths, not shutting up, and I'm just like, I can't deal with these Steelers fans in the stadium today. Still running their mouth. Got a bunch of them talking about how they're not really worried. They're going to be able to get it. We're going to put pressure on Jaden Daniels. The offense ain't going to do much or nothing. We'll be fine. So Steelers fans running them out. Meanwhile, Commanders fans are just pointing out that the lead is with the Commanders, and they get the ball coming at halftime, so they're about to double up on scoring, which is exactly what the Commanders did. Coming out of halftime, the Commanders went down the field. Quick strike to Terry McLaurin, who took it down to the red zone, and a couple plays later, they score a touchdown. They make it 24-14. Now, someone like me understands that you're never going to feel safe with the Pittsburgh Steelers as long as the game is close. I'm sitting there watching this thinking, all right, it's a 10-point lead, but knowing how the Steelers are, they're going to respond. They immediately responded on the following drive, went down the field, score a touchdown, and just like that, it's a 3-point game, and it becomes a back-and-forth affair. Washington was able to get another touchdown another field goal to make it a 27-21 lead. And then it was just a back and forth affair. Everybody in the stadium is getting tense because we know that 6-point lead isn't safe. Meanwhile, Steelers fans are getting tense because they're not scoring anything. They have an opportunity to score. Russell Wilson was throwing moonshots the entire game. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And in this situation, in this specific situation, it didn't work because he took a moonshot down the field and got picked off. Meanwhile, you had, which was funny to me, you had George Pickens that decided to choke slam one of our defenders. I don't know what he's thinking. And, he gets picked off. So I'm thinking, we're able to do something with it. Nah. We punt that ball back. We don't do much with it. The Steelers get another opportunity. They actually go down the field. They get to the goal line. But then a fumble was called. I looked at it. I'm watching this, and I'm like, I'm not fully sure if that was a fumble. But I think there was a fumble on Warren, I believe. They said it was a fumble. The officials ruled it as a fumble, and I was not fully sure that was a fumble. I thought I don't know. I didn't think it was a fumble, but the official said it was a fumble. And once again, you saw the Commanders' defense make a stop. But again, Pittsburgh's defense is not going to fold in these situations. They're going to find a way to get the ball back. If the game is close in the fourth quarter, the Steelers' defense will always respond. Understand that. So I'm sitting there thinking it ain't safe until they can put up a touchdown. It ain't even close to being safe unless they make this a double-digit game. They failed to do so. Pittsburgh Steelers get the ball back. At this point, we're under 5 minutes. It's basically the final drive here for the Steelers to try to go down the field, score a touchdown. They get into Commanders territory. Defense is making plays here and there, but they're not making enough stops. It gets down to a 3rd and 9 situation, I believe, and then everybody knows what happens. I'm sitting here watching this with everybody else. I'm outside. I'm watching this with everybody else. I got some of these other people, you know, everyone's talking trash. It's highly emotional, yada, yada, yada. You got some people like, nah, they can hold on. They can hold on. Like, and I'm sitting there like, do you not know what this is? Do you not know who this team is? They do this all the time. And so you look at the bottom of your screen. It's 3rd down. It's St. Juice on Mike Williams. Pressure comes. Russell Wilson throws a moonshot. And like I said, when it comes to Russell Wilson moonshots, sometimes it works out for you. Sometimes it doesn't. We saw a situation where it didn't work out in which he threw a pick. It was basically an arm punt. In this situation, he threw a moonshot to an open receiver, Mike Williams, wide open. He beat St. Jude's, touchdown Steelers. They have a chance to take the lead. You got Steeler fans cheering right next to me. I'm pissed off, losing my mind. And I'm like, is that St. Jude's again? And I'm just going off like, bro, this dude is terrible. He gives up the first touchdown of the game. He gives up a game-winning touchdown. This guy stinks. I'm going off. But I'm sitting there saying, all right, there's still like a minute left. Jaden, it's your time. We know. I can't trust this secondary. But you know what I can trust? Jaden Daniels. Because we know what this young man is capable of. And we've seen him in this situation. And he gets it done. He gets it done. Jaden and the offense come on the field. They make some movements. Make a couple plays. But then you see a certain circumstance. They're not able to connect. 1st down, incomplete. 2nd down, incomplete. 3rd down, the opportunity was there. Ball was not caught. It wouldn't have been easy. Incomplete. So it comes down to a 4th down play. Washington still has all 3 of their timeouts. It comes to a 4th down play. Pressure's coming. Well, Jaden takes a snap. Pressure's coming. Jaden throws to Zach Ertz, who, by the way, Zach Ertz had some plays here and there. But Zach Ertz, 2 things. One, you could tell he's old at this point. This dude is slow. Like, so many yards was just lost because he just wasn't fast enough. Dude is slow. And he also had some drops today. There was a bunch of drops yesterday. There was a bunch of drops by those receivers, man. Just unnecessary drops. I mean, De'Ami Brown dropped a pass in the back of the end zone. He was wide open. The receivers, they were not showing up for Jaden today. I keep saying today. They were not showing up for Jaden yesterday, and it was unfortunate. But yeah, this one was caught on 4th down. And I promise you, this has been debated. You've probably seen it all over Twitter. We were talking about it. We were constantly debating about it in the stadium. It was just nasty, bro. Zach Ertz catches the ball. From what we were seeing, he was at the marker. And we're not talking about the invisible yellow line. We're talking about right where he needed to be, at the marker. We're watching this. It seems where he catches the ball, he's right at the marker. Many of us were saying that should have been a 1st down. They ruled it short. We said, okay, that's fine. They can go review it. If you take a look at the review, it looks like he was on the line for the 1st down. It's close, but he should have got it for the 1st down. Took about 5 minutes for them to figure out what they wanted to do, but once the reviews came back, they ruled it short. The call stood. Turnover on downs. I'm losing my mind. A lot of us are pissed off. Steelers fans are cheering. We're saying, they keep showing the replay. Even after the call, they keep showing the replay. And we're all pointing at the replay and saying, yo, he's right at the line. That is a 1st down. What are you talking about? To make matters worse, where they spotted the ball were shorter than where Zach Ertz was. So we don't understand it. where they spot the ball versus where he actually was, there was like a 2-yard difference. He was not there. Where they spotted the ball was not where Zach Ertz was when the ball was caught. So we don't even know what they were talking about. That was a first down. That was a clear first down. We all saw it in real time. We saw it on the replay. None of us understood why they didn't rule it a first down. Everybody's pissed off. People are booing the refs. They're cursing at the refs. I'm just walking away because I'm not even trying to lose it like that. And I'm like, I cannot believe the refs are this bad. They've been trash all season, but damn, you can't be that blind. You took 5 minutes to look at it. Square in your eyes. You're looking at the monitor. You're looking at the monitor. You're looking at the monitor. We, the fans, can see it. We're not even talking about the yellow line. Where the actual marker is, we're all looking at it. Everybody knew it was a first down. And not only did the refs get the call wrong, where they spotted the ball, it's not even where Zach Ertz was. Oh my God, let me get my glasses because I knew I lost it. Where did my glasses go? Wow. I didn't slam. Oh, there it is. So yeah, that was a terrible missed call. Clearly so. Just terrible call by the refs. That should have been a first down. We all know it should have been a first down. And when they spotted the ball, wasn't even where Zach Ertz was. It wasn't even where Zach Ertz was. So, the refs made a horrible call. It should have been a first down. Instead, it's turnover on downs. Everybody's pissed off and booing the officials. But what can you do about it? Steelers get the ball. They get 3 opportunities, well 4 technically, to pick up a first down. First down, they run the ball, nice stop. Second down, they run the ball, decent stop. Third down, they pitch it to Patterson, and Patterson nearly picks up the first down because the defense nearly sold, but they make a stop. It's 4th and 1. The Steelers line up first like they're going to go for it. Then Tomlin calls a timeout. Everybody in the stadium knew what Mike Tomlin was about to do. Mike Tomlin was not going for it on 4th down. Everybody knew he was getting Russell Wilson out there to line up and try to catch the Commanders' defense offsides. So they come out of the timeout. Russell Wilson comes back on the field with the offense, and they line up under center to try to catch the Commanders' defense offsides. They're just trying to get the jump to end the game. Russell Wilson is doing Russell Wilson things. I'm literally watching this. All of us are seeing it. I don't remember who, but one of the defenders literally was going up to the D-line, yelling, "Don't jump, don't jump, don't jump." What happens? The rookie jumped. The rookie jumped. Steelers fans started celebrating. Commanders fans in complete agony. I walked away saying so many things I'm not going to repeat on camera. And that was game. Steelers got the win, went to 7-2. Commanders dropped to 7-3. And that was a painful loss. To make matters worse, I was also keeping track of the Chiefs game, and I literally came in to watch it right when the Broncos were about to kick the game-winning field goal. And I'm like, bro, if they make this kick, they're about to upset the Chiefs. That gets blocked, and I'm already pissed off about that. So I saw the blocked field goal with the Chiefs, and my Sunday's already ruined because of that. So now I'm just like, at least the Commanders can win this game, right? That doesn't happen. Game's over. People just walking out of the stadium. You got thousands of Steelers fans chanting, "Here we go." A lot of them talking trash. One dude was sitting there like, "Man, it's great to get some fresh air after a fresh Steelers win." I'm going to leave it right there. I'm not going to say what I wanted to say on camera, man. I'm going to just leave it like that. Just being stuck next to thousands of Steelers fans celebrating after this was nasty. Commanders fans were just just angry. Some were in pain. Others were just angry. Everybody in the stadium knew they were trying to get somebody to jump, and it had to be the rookie that jumped, and it just ripped everybody's heart out. That's definitely the most painful loss of the season. It's been a great season. It's been a great season, and the Commanders were very close to trying to match something they hadn't done in a long time. Because if they would have gone 8-2 and gone 5-0 at home, because they had won every home game up into this, if they would have gone 5-0 and 5-0 at home, and then go to 9-2. So not 9 to 8-2. That would have been the first time they would have done both those things since like 1991. So everybody really wanted that, just to continue the aspect. Not to mention, we had seen so many miracles. We had seen so many great performances, and then we saw the miracle that happened with the Bears game that everyone just thought, man, I don't think they're going to lose at home this year. And this was also a huge test because, again, the Commanders haven't exactly beaten any teams over 500. The 3 losses they have are against teams under 500. So this was supposed to be the test. This was their test before they took on Philadelphia on Thursday. Many people in the DMV are hearing it constantly. They're trying to take away from this season from the Commanders, and everyone keeps pointing out, specifically Bear fans, because they're salty about how their situation is going. Everyone's pointing out about how the Commanders have not beaten a single team over 500. They're 7-2, but they've beaten teams under 500. And the teams that they faced off that were over 500, they lost to. Such as, Tampa Bay wasn't even a team over 500, but still, the Ravens and now the Steelers. This Steelers game was supposed to be not only prep for the Thursday night game against the Eagles, but it was also supposed to be an argument, or not an argument, a statement to say this team is ready for the moment. They're going to take that next step, and maybe they might be a legitimate Super Bowl contending team this year. People were ready to crown them for that, and they came damn close. But when you lose in a situation like that, especially when you had a 10-point lead at some point, people are going to be looking sideways and be like, where are your wins against teams over 500? The good news is they have an opportunity to make a statement. The mindset has not changed. The Commanders, if they beat the Eagles, they're going to win the division. If they sweep the Eagles, they're going to win the division. That's all it comes down to. They're 7-3. They're not out of it. Philadelphia had their bye week. Commanders have yet to have their bye week yet. So Philly's at 7-2. They played Thursday night in Philadelphia. If the Commanders can beat the Eagles, they're going to put themselves in the position to win the division. The Cowboys and Giants are already out of it for the division. It comes down to the Commanders and the Eagles. If the Commanders can beat the Eagles on Thursday night, that's one good situation. If they can sweep the Eagles, they win the division. That's just how it's going to be because they're not going to lose a tiebreaker. So it comes down to everything Thursday night, and we'll just see what happens for the Commanders. As for the Pittsburgh Steelers, that win keeps them in first place in the AFC North, and they now have that Renegades battle next week in Pittsburgh against the Baltimore Ravens. So yeah, that's pretty much how the state of the AFC North went for the most part. Steelers still on top, first place. Baltimore at 7-2. Baltimore right next to them, second place with a 7-3 record. Cincinnati at third place, fighting for their playoff hopes at 4-6, and the Cleveland Browns getting ready for the draft at 2-7. However you look at it. That's pretty much been the state of the AFC North. Things will continue to ramp up, especially this week. Cleveland, I believe, who are they taking on? The Cleveland Browns this week take on the Saints. That's going to be an interesting game because the Saints are a terrible team, but they show up for divisional games. So, unfortunately, this is not a division game. I think the Browns probably beat the Saints. But the two games you got to focus on is Pittsburgh and Baltimore. And I will have a preview video about that because it's Pittsburgh week. So be on the lookout for my preview video. Other than that, Cincinnati, playoff hopes really on the line. They're going to take on a really good Chargers team. The Chargers right now are 6-3. Are they 6? No, sorry. 6-4, I believe. The Chargers are 6-4. No, they're 6-3. They had their bye week. So, yeah, they're taking on a 6-3 Charger game at home. The Chargers are on a 3-game winning streak right now. They've been playing some great football. Great team football. Even with Justin Herbert's numbers not looking the best because he doesn't really have a lot of help in the pass game, he's still been playing well. The team's been playing well. The Chargers' defense has been much better. They have somewhat of a run game. You know, they're using J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, and those two guys have been very helpful in making the job for Justin Herbert easier. And Jim Harbaugh's been doing a great job in putting this team in winning situations. So they're gonna have their work cut out for them against a Bengals team that's desperate. So we'll have to see how that goes next week. So Ravens Steelers next week, Bengals Chargers on Sunday Night Football, and then Browns and Saints. What are some weaknesses you see on the Steelers? I'll speak on that more about that when it comes to the preview. But any weakness you look at really starts from the offensive standpoint. Defensively, I think their weakness lies in their secondary. It's not as strong as you think it is. Their pass rush does a fantastic job in really covering up for some of the mistakes that their secondary can make. If you can get some time, if the pressure doesn't get to you, you can throw against this team. You can air it out against their secondary. Their secondary isn't terrible. I mean, they do a great job. But if there's any weakness on the defense, it's their secondary. If there's any weakness in the offense, I think you're still looking at the offensive line. So there are aspects that can be exploited, but if there's any way the Ravens are going to be able to win, they got to be able to throw the football against this team because they're going to be sending pressure against Lamar all day. And he's going to have opportunities. If these receivers can get open against the secondary, he's going to be able to eat. They got open last year against the Steelers. It's just nobody wanted to catch the ball. So it is what it is. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it for the State of the AFC North address. In terms of some of these other games, yeah, Ravens, Steelers, it is what it is. We know how that's going to be. I'm going to talk about that in my preview video. Bengals, Chargers, I think the Bengals are going to win this game because they're in desperation mode and they can't afford to lose it, but they got a tough game. They got a tough task. This is not going to be an easy game by any standard. They are going to have to take on a really good Chargers team. That's not the same Chargers team we had seen a few weeks back. They're finally getting it together. So if Cincinnati does not play their A game, they're going to lose. And if they lose this game, I really don't know if their season can be salvaged if they lose this game. I'm being dead serious. I don't know if their season can be salvaged if they lose this game. But yeah, other than that, quick talks about other stuff that happened in the NFL. Nobody really cared, but the Giants won the Tank Bowl. They're now first place in the draft. They have the number 1 draft pick, so we'll see how that goes. Daniel Jones played like trash. Still made plays, though. Bryce Young had a good game. It went into OT. No one wanted that. They fumbled the ball in the first play of OT. The Giants. Panthers recovered, kicked a field goal. That's it. Patriots played a good game. They beat the Bears. We need to talk about 2 things. Might have to make a live stream just to talk about other teams right now. Just about other takes, because we got to have a real talk about Chicago. We have to talk about Chicago, and I think we need to have a talk about Drake May, because as well as the other rookie quarterback in general, Drake May didn't have a great game, but he's playing well, given the fact that he's working with nothing. Other than Stevenson, who does he have? Like, take a look at what he's working with offensively, and even as a team-wise, Drake May's not dealing with the best. If they're smart and they know and they rebuild smartly in a really real way. If they're smart and they actually do an efficient job in rebuilding this Patriots team, they might have something, because Drake May is looking like he's doing good as a rookie quarterback. He's doing well. I like some of the things I'm seeing from Drake May. He's a rookie. He'll make mistakes here and there, but I'm really liking what I'm seeing from Drake May. As for Chicago, Caleb Williams has all the talent in the world, but right now he's not playing well. Part of it has to do with the fact that he himself is not playing well. He's missing a lot of throws he should be making. And he's missing throws that he was making in some of the previous weeks. Right between, week 3 and week 7, he was making some of those throws. But the last few weeks, he can't make those throws anymore. So he's struggling. He's not playing well. But at the same time, I think this team has given up. I don't think the Bears players are playing for their coach anymore. Eberflus got to go. I think this coaching staff, they need to make an entire switch with this coaching staff, because the players don't want to play for these coaches anymore. The body language that you're seeing from Caleb, the body language that you're seeing from some of the players on the defense, I think the Bears players are done with this coaching. And Eberflus needs to be fired at the end of this season. So yeah, that has to be said. Bills beat the Colts 30-20. Josh Allen didn't have a great game statistically. He threw for 2 interceptions, no touchdowns, passer rating of 60, and a QBR of 48. But he also did rush for a touchdown himself. It was a great touchdown run. And Joe Flacco essentially handed the game to the Bills with 3 interceptions, one being a pick 6. They were going up against a Colts team that isn't the best, so it was to be expected. Josh didn't have the best statistical game, but he still made some great plays there. And they were able to get the 30-20 victory. Like we talked about earlier, the Chiefs hold on. They beat the Broncos. And I'm getting sick and tired of saying this. Yet another game where the quarterback outplayed Mahomes, but Mahomes is walking away with a victory. Bo Nix is another person we got to talk about more. Jaden Daniels right now seems to be the best rookie. That's the consensus because of how he's played the entire season. But if you start looking at it, are you sure? Make the arguments. Again, situations are different, and Caleb's not exactly in the best of situations based on production, even though he was predicted to be in the best situation because the Bears invested all of this, invested everything into that offense. So it's weird. It's weird. it's weird how things are going in Chicago because they invest into their offense and things aren't working out. But we might have to have some discussions. Are we sure Bo Nix isn't the second best rookie in the quarterback draft right now? He's playing like the second best rookie quarterback. Jaden Daniels took the scene. I got you. But Bo Nix is playing like the second best quarterback in this draft. We need to have a discussion about that. Bo Nix, 2 touchdown passes against the Chiefs. He played well enough for the team to win. Passer rating of 115, a QBR of 69. He played well enough to win. And they should have won. I'm trying to take a look at this. Bo Nix on the season, 1,968 pass yards, 10 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and a QBR of 54.5 with a passer rating of 82.9. Not the best. Also, he's completing about 63% of his passes, well, 64% of his passes. It's not the best, but I'm also thinking he's played well enough in spans where it feels like he might be the second best rookie. In terms of other guys, we have to, I'll be fair. Drake May did not start off the season, so it's unfair to try to put him in these conversations. But we also have to mention that in the games he has played, he's had his moments here and there. Drake May so far in the season, he's played a few games, but 954 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, a QBR of 55, completion percentage of 65%, and a passer rating of 84. That's what he's done this season. And then when you look at Caleb, in terms of what Caleb has done so far this season, 1,785 yards, 10 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, a QBR of 38.4, a passer rating of 81, and a completion percentage of 6. Are we sure Bo Nix isn't the second best quarterback in the rookie draft? Are we sure? Are we sure are we sure, not about the Broncos, are we sure Bo Nix isn't the second best quarterback in this draft? Are we sure Bo Nix is the second best quarterback in this draft? I'm just asking. Lamar's record against the Steelers is 1-3. The Ravens are 1-3 against the Steelers with Lamar. They're 0-4 against the Steelers without Lamar. Over the last 4 seasons, the Steelers have beaten us 7 times. We have a 1-7 record with them. The one win was 2019 in his MVP season. We beat them in overtime. Humphrey punched the ball out of Juju's hands. The 3 losses was in 2020, the pandemic year where we played. It was in Baltimore. It was a back and forth affair. It came down to the last play. I personally felt there should have been a personal foul call on the defense for how they hit Snead. On Willie Snead on that last play, but there was no flag called. Baltimore was 5-1 at that point. Pittsburgh was 6-0, and Pittsburgh got the win. That was the year the Steelers won 11-0. So that's one. And then the other one was in 2021, where we went to Pittsburgh. It came down to a 2-point conversion. Lamar scored that touchdown to who was it to? Sammy Watkins, I believe. We went for 2. And what's it called? TJ Watt was left unblocked. Lamar tried to get it to Andrews. Andrews couldn't catch it. Incomplete. We lose right there. And then the third loss was last year when it comes to the game where nobody wanted to catch passes from Lamar. All the receivers had drops. It was like 7 drops in that game. Marlon Humphrey came back and got exploited. It was his first game coming off the injury, and he got beat by George Pickens for the would-be game-winning touchdown. I see 2-4 during Lamar. That's because the league always likes to do this. If you participate in the game, it counts towards your record. The 2 games you're thinking of, one was in 2018. That was the game Lamar Jackson, that was the first game you're thinking about that has that second win was not Lamar. Flacco was the starter. That was week 3 or week 4 when we went to Pittsburgh and beat them. The fourth loss you're thinking about would be the game where they came to Baltimore and beat us. So 2 of those games, they're counting from 2018. Lamar was not the starting quarterback in 2018. Those are the 2 games that came from Flacco. But the reason why it's on Lamar's resume is because Lamar participated in those games. He had a couple snaps in the game against the Steelers, both when we played in Pittsburgh and when we played in Baltimore. Lamar has only played the Steelers 4 times. 2019, 2020, 2021, 2023. Those are the only 4 times Lamar played the Steelers. So it's not really 2-4. Because Lamar has not beaten the Steelers twice. I can tell you for a fact. He does not have 2 wins against the Steelers. It's 1-3. So it is what it is. But yeah, are we sure Bo Nix isn't the second best quarterback in this draft? Caleb's not dealing with the best of situations because things have they've just turned upside down there. But the way Bo Nix has been playing, we gotta have a conversation. He looks to be the second best quarterback in the draft. Obviously, Jaden's going to get the nod at number one. I mean, I could pull up Jaden's numbers. It's going to be better than everybody else. Jaden Daniels, 2,147 yards, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, QBR of 71, and a passer rating of 101. He's also completing nearly 69% of his passes, so we don't need to talk. Jaden Daniels has been the best quarterback in this draft this year in terms of performance. Bo Nix might be number 2. That's all I'm saying. But other than that, yeah, like I said, the Chiefs got the block and beat the Broncos. The Saints beat the Falcons. This is what I don't get about Kirk Cousins, man. You cannot trust Kirk Cousins on a week-to-week basis. You cannot trust Kirk Cousins on a week-to-week basis. You cannot trust Kirk Cousins on a week-to-week basis. Kirk Cousins, nope, the 306 pass yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception, a pass rating of 75, a QBR of 46.5. How did you lose to the Saints? Oh, because Derek Carr probably wanted to ruin the tank. He threw 2 touchdown passes and had a pass rating of 127. Like, how did the Falcons lose to the Saints? Just a divisional loss that they didn't need to take. I'm telling you, man, no one believes the Falcons are going to do anything special. And Kirk Cousins, he has games like this. But it's what it is. Other than that, Niners, Bucks. Niners back above 500. They're 5-4 now. Brock Purdy had a good game. 25 of 36, 353 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, a pass rating 119, QBR of 78.9. Baker had his moments here and there. He made a crazy play on 4th down. Shout out to Baker. He's still balling out. 18 of 29, 116 yards, a touchdown, no interception, a passer rating of 82 with a QBR of 41. They had their moments. Tampa Bay and San Francisco went at it, and the game was close, but they're just not finishing. It feels like if Tampa Bay was healthier, they'd finish with these games. It's unfortunate, though. But they're 4-6 now. Vikings Jaguars was a mess, and things are starting to the clock's starting to wind down. The clock is starting to wind down for Minnesota. Not for Minnesota. The clock is starting to wind down for Sam Darnold. They won this game just because 1, Jacksonville's terrible, and 2, Trevor Lawrence didn't play. But Sam Darnold, 24 of 38, 241 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, a QBR of 33.6, and a pass rating of 48. If Trevor Lawrence plays, they probably beat the Vikings. But the Vikings defense is just that damn good, and Mac Jones is just that damn bad. 14 of 22, 111 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a QBR of 12, a passer rating of 38. If it was any other team, if it was any other quarterback playing in that situation, the Vikings probably lose. But it's just that damn bad. But they squeak away with the 12-7 victory. You take it. Chargers win 27-17. Will Levis actually had a good game, but it's just the team's not good enough. Will Levis, 18 of 23, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, QBR of 65, and a passer rating of 127. That might be the best game of Will Levis's career. Meanwhile, Herbert, 14 of 18, 164 yards, a touchdown, 0 interceptions, passer rating of 123, QBR of 84.9, basically 85. Our former Raven guys, Gus Edwards, 10 carries for 55 yards. J.K. Dobbins, 15 carries for 50 yards. They're still coming up with ways to run on that offense. You also had Justin Herbert, who had 9. He took off 9 times. He scrambled, had 32 yards and a touchdown. So the Chargers are finding ways to win games. They're 6-3, and we have to give some respect. Also, Justin Herbert is having a good year. Despite the numbers being down from what we're normally expecting, Justin Herbert has 1,889 passing yards, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. I think he has the lowest interceptions total of all starting quarterbacks in the National Football League right now. QBR 59.7. He's completing 66% of his passes and has a passer rating of 103. So Justin Herbert's having a good year. And the Chargers look like they could be a playoff team. We'll have to see. Other than that, we had the Eagles take down the Cowboys, 34-6. Jalen Hurts still concerns me, but I know he can still ball out. Jalen Hurts turned the ball over twice. He threw a pick, which was a terrible pick, and he fumbled the ball because if he threw a pick to Trayvon Diggs and fumbled the ball because Micah got to him. 14-20, 202 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, pass rating 115, QBR 57.9. I still like some of the things I'm seeing from Jalen Hurts in terms of the offense, but at the same time, I don't like the fact that he's turning the ball over like that. Saquon had 66 rushing yards. Hurts ran a lot here. 7 carries, 56 yards, and he had 2 rushing touchdowns. So he had 4 total touchdowns and 2 total turnovers. It is what it is. You'll take the touchdowns with the turnovers, but that is something that could potentially hurt Philadelphia in the playoffs if they keep doing this. Cooper Rush, nobody expected anything of him. 45 passing yards in the whole football game is crazy. And Trey Lance came in and only had 21 passing yards and an interception. I mean, we don't need to talk about the Cowboys. They're done. They're done. We already know they're done. It is what it is. We also had the Jets and the Cardinals. Guys, somebody is going to have to explain this to me. First of all, Aaron Rodgers playing like trash. 22 of 35, 151, 0 touchdowns, no interceptions, 6 points of offense. They did absolutely nothing. They couldn't run the ball. Meanwhile, Kyler Murray, 22 of 24, 266, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions, passer rating 126, QBR 95.9. He also had 2 rushing touchdowns in this game. So 3 total touchdowns for Kyler. James Conner also rushed in for a touchdown. And the Cardinals blow out the Jets 31-6. What needs to be talked about is Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. And I don't understand why they're not getting more attention. The Arizona Cardinals are 6-4 in the season. I want to repeat this. The Arizona Cardinals have a 6-4 record so far through 10 games. They're first in the NFC West. I want to repeat this. The Arizona Cardinals are first in the NFC West. Kyler is having a good season. Kyler Murray, 2,058 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, a QBR of 75.5, which is second in the league. Lamar's 1, Kyler's at 2 right now through 10 games. He's completing 69% of his passes and has a passer rating of 100. Why are we not talking about this? Why are the Cardinals not being talked about at least a little bit more? Nobody's saying they're world beaters or a team that's going to make noise in the playoffs, but I think we got to give credit. People wanted to see if Kyler could come back and play at a high level. We saw the second half of last year worked when he came back from injury. He had his moments here and there, but he didn't look like himself completely. This year, Kyler's been playing well, and the team's 2 games over 500 with a chance to win the division because they have the lead over the Niners right now. We need to give more love to Kyler and the Cardinals. That needs to be discussed a lot more. Kyler's having a good season. The Cardinals are above 500. They might make the playoffs. They could potentially win the division. We don't know what's going to happen. But the Cardinals deserve more love. As for the Jets, they're cooked. They're done. They're not winning, 7 straight games to go to 10-7. They're done. Their season's over. We don't need to keep talking about the Jets. Last but not least, we had the Lions and the Texans. And boy, this was a nasty game. 7 turnovers between 2 quarterbacks. Yesterday was not a good day for the quarterback MVP conversations. It was not. I mean, those quarterbacks basically handed Lamar the MVP right now. Obviously, there's 7 games left and anything can change. Lamar could perform poorly and someone else can take over. Who knows? But the 3 candidates that were being talked about for MVP, Josh Allen, Jared Goff, and CJ Stroud, all of them put up poor performances yesterday. Josh Allen with no touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He played very poorly, was very inaccurate with the ball, but still made plays here and there. Jared Goff was being highly praised for the MVP. No, he's being highly praised for his performance. And I, just like many others, say he should be talked about more in the MVP conversation. I still had Lamar as the MVP, but I felt Jared Goff deserved more love. However, there were some people that said Jared Goff should be the MVP. They said Jared Goff should be the MVP. And that's where everyone's like, I don't know about that. But he's playing so well. Yeah, but he had a game where he won and he threw for like 80 yards because you had Gibbs and Montgomery run all over that team. Either way, the conversations were happening and everyone was just waiting to see if Goff could keep this up. He did not keep it up last night. 15 of 30, 240 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, a passer rating of 59.7, and a QBR of 29.1. Any case for Jared Goff being the MVP probably just died last night. That's probably just it. Any conversations about Jared Goff winning the MVP just died last night because that's going to be something that they're going to hold against him. 5 interceptions. He had thrown 4 interceptions through the first 9 weeks. 5 now? If you look at it, Jared Goff on the season, man, he took a huge hit performance-wise. Jared Goff on the season, 2,080 total passing yards, 2,080 passing yards, 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, QBR 54.2. He's completing 71% of his passes, but he was at 75 before this. Completing 71% of his passes, nearly 72%, and has a passer rating of 104. So he's still playing well. He's still having a good season. No one's taking that away. One bad performance doesn't erase a great season. But in terms of MVP conversations, yeah, that died there. To make matters worse, CJ probably looked worse off last night compared to Jared Goff. Goff threw 5 picks and the Lions won the game. Goff threw 5 interceptions. The Texans had a 23-7 lead and the Lions won. despite how poorly Jared Goff played, the loser last night was C.J. Stroud, no doubt. There's no way your defense gives you 5 interceptions, you have a 15-point lead coming out of halftime, and you do nothing with it. 0 points of offense in the second half for the Texans. Unexcusable. 0. A big fat 0. They scored no points in the second half. You had a 15-point lead heading into halftime, and you proceeded to score 0 points. Your defense got 5 picks off of Jared Goff, and you did nothing with it. C.J. Stroud, 19 of 33, 232 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, a QBR of 33, and a passer rating of 64. What makes matters worse is C.J. Stroud is coming off of a situation or coming off of a performance in which he played terrible and embarrassed himself against the New York Jets. In that Jets game, he did not look well at all, completing 11 of 30 passes. He was very close to being right next to Josh Allen on that 9 of 30. So he played poorly against the Jets and then somehow played worse the following week. If you look, he was in the conversation for MVPs, but these last few weeks killed any conversation for C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud was my personal pick. I felt he could potentially do something here, but them MVP cases just died last night. I ain't gonna lie. He's still having a good season. 2,371 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, QBR 54.7. He's still playing well. He's completing 63% of his passes, has a passer rating of 89. Not the best, but he's still having a good overall season. It's just that he's made some mistakes, man. And we know he's missing some guys. Obviously, Stephon Diggs out for the season. Nico Collins still dealing with the hamstring injury. He's back, but he's not playing. It's a lot, man. It's a lot. Anyway, so be it. That's pretty much how it's been for today. And that's all the scores for Week 10. We got one more game left to play, which will be tonight, Monday Night Football. We got the Dolphins and the Rams. Rams need that game just to get themselves to further propel themselves into a potential playoff push. Dolphins are pretty much out of it. We'll see what happens. Why is it Ravens versus Steelers primetime? Because the Bengals and Chargers got flex in the primetime. Stop assuming not every matchup is going to be a primetime game. They already gave the Ravens a Saturday game. They're not going to make both. Everyone did this with the Bengals and Ravens. Why weren't the Bengals and Ravens on primetime? Dude, they're not giving a divisional rival game 2 primetime spots. The Ravens and the Steelers, even though it's not a full-on night game, the Ravens and the Steelers play a primetime game technically. The Ravens and the Steelers will play in Baltimore December 21st, 4:30 p.m. That is technically a primetime game. It is not a night game, but it is a primetime game because that's the only game that's going to be on. They've already given them a primetime game in Baltimore. They're not going to give a divisional game 2 primetime games. It's not going to happen. They're not about to give 2 divisional games primetime games. It's not going to happen. You're not going to get the same opponent on primetime twice. It's just not going to happen. Not to mention, we got to keep saying this, certain television networks aren't giving up the games. CBS is not giving up Ravens Steelers. They're not. Fox was not going to give up certain games. These networks want to keep it there too. They want the ratings. You think CBS want to give up a game and give it to NBC? You think Fox want to give up the ratings to give it to NBC? They're not interested in that. If they have a chance to keep that game for the week, they're going to keep it. Take anything else. Why aren't the Ravens getting a primetime game every week? At this point, we might as well say that. But that's pretty much been it. State of the AFC North address has been addressed. We talked about all the other games, and we got a bunch of games coming up this week. I don't really do predictions at all, but I'm kind of just here. So I'll just quick fire it just based off of whatever. Just based off of vibes, I guess. So week 11, let's see how the games are. Commanders-Eagles on Thursday Night Football. The Commanders will redeem themselves. They suffered a tough loss against a great Pittsburgh Steelers team. Commanders are going to go on the road and beat the Eagles. Packers and Bears. Green Bay is a better football team right now than the Bears, and the Bears are just collapsing. Give me the Green Bay Packers. Jaguars and Lions. Who let this game happen? I don't care if Trevor Lawrence is there or not. That's an easy dub for the Lions. If they blow it, we have some conversations about the Lions afterwards. Vikings-Titans. It's going to be a much closer game for no reason because the Titans actually do start off well. And Sam Darnold, man, 17 touchdowns, 10 interceptions on the season. He's starting to look different. Let me pull it up right here. I can see his stats. Sam Darnold, 2,141 pass yards, 17 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. The first quarterback to get double-digit interceptions on the season, right? No one else has more than 8. Sorry, no one has more than 8 or 9? Well, Jared Goff's got 9 now. But yeah, first quarterback to break 10 interceptions. QBR of 54.7. He's completing 69% of his passes, well, nearly 69%, and has a passer rating of 99. He's starting to throw picks, and it's starting to look bad. But I still think the Vikings are good enough to beat the Titans. Raiders, Dolphins, that's a toughie. The Raiders are completely collapsing, and the Dolphins, they haven't had Tua for much of this, but I think the Dolphins can at least squeak by a win here. I'm going to take the Dolphins over the Raiders. Rams and Patriots. The Rams right now are pushing for a playoff spot. The Patriots right now are doing well, and I like what I'm seeing with Drake May, but I think the Rams are going to take this. Browns, Saints, that's a coin toss. I'm going to give it to Cleveland. I don't trust the Saints on these type of matchups. Colts, Jets, again, that's a coin toss. I don't like anything I'm seeing from the Jets, but at the same time, the Colts are looking nasty right now. Flacco did not play well last week. I think this is a coin toss, but I will give it to the Colts. Ravens, Steelers, you know who I'm picking. We don't even need to discuss that one. Falcons, Broncos. I'm going to actually give this. I'm going to pull off an upset. It's in Denver. I'm going to say quote-unquote upset alert. I'm taking the Broncos over the Falcons. Seahawks and Niners. That's going to be a good one. Seahawks need this game to get back into it. I don't know how Geno's going to play, but I'm going to take the Niners in this one. Never mind. Geno's right there with Sam Darnold. Geno has 10 interceptions on the season. 2,560 passing yards, 11 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, a QBR of 52, completing 68% of his passes, and has a passer rating of 88.6. Give me the Niners in this game. With Christian McCaffrey back, I'm going to take the Niners. Chiefs, Bills. Christ on the bike. I don't even know what to do, man. Skip that for a quick second. Bengals, Chargers. I'm picking the Bengals. The Bengals right now, with everything on the line, they're not going to flinch. They nearly beat Baltimore. It came down to the wire. I'm taking the Bengals. I am taking the Bengals. I don't care what anyone says. I'm taking the Bengals. If the Chargers win, hallelujah, I'll be happy for them because I want the Bengals to just continue to collapse. I feel bad for Joe Burrow. I feel bad for Jamar Chase. But the Bengals fans, I don't feel bad for them. And I want their season to collapse. They ran their mouth for far too long. They deserve this. They deserve this smoke. You got to one Super Bowl and all of a sudden you want to run your mouth. You deserve this. But I still think the Bengals are going to win. And then Monday Night Football, Texans-Cowboys. We thought this would be a much better game, but the Cowboys are trash, and the Texans have lost 2 straight. If they can't beat this Cowboys team, we really need to have a conversation with them. But Texas should get it. But Chiefs-Bills. What do I say here? What do I say here? Chiefs-Bills? What the hell do I say here? I'm so confused. What am I supposed to say here? Every fiber of my body says the Bills have to win this game. If there's any game the Chiefs are going to lose in the regular season, this has to be the game. This has to be the game. Everything in my body, everything in my soul, my brain, my heart, everything's telling me the Bills are going to win this game. But this is Kansas City. And for some reason, teams just can't beat this team. You can't bet against Mahomes in Arrowhead. You cannot bet against... Oh, no, this is actually I'm sorry. This is in Buffalo. Even still, I still take the Chiefs. Personally, I don't want either one of these teams to win, but I just need the Chiefs to take an L so they can shut up. I just need them to take an L so they can shut up. I'm tired of Nick Wright running every week, coming on this show and just running his mouth, the arrogance of this guy. He want to be Skip Bayless, but he don't want to take all the credentials that come with being Skip Bayless, which includes being criticized for being an arrogant cuck. But that's a different conversation. The Chiefs are going to win this game. I just know it. I know it. Sean McDermott's going to make a dumb decision in the biggest moment of the game, and it's going to cost them. The weird part is the Ravens have lost the Chiefs because of multiple things. John Harbaugh constantly getting outcoached by Andy Reid and just pooping himself every time he meets up with Andy Reid. And then the Ravens being a high-low team. When they're at their highest, they can definitely beat the Chiefs. When they're at their lowest, they can't beat anyone. Them being a high-low team, that's inconsistency. The Chiefs are consistent. The Ravens are inconsistent. And when you're an inconsistent team trying to be the consistent team, it costs you. because chances are you're going to be inconsistent the time you play a consistent team. So that's the Ravens' problem. But with the Bills, I think the problem is coaching, bro. They should have been beat this team in the playoffs. But coaching, did you see the nonsense last year? The fake punt on 4th down, that Disney Channel level crap they tried to pull with Damar Hamlin? That's a coaching issue. That cost them. I just, oh my God. Everything tells me the Bills are going to win this game. But I can't pick against Kansas City. I'm not even going to overthink it. Chiefs are going to get the win, and it's going to piss everybody off. I hope the Bills win, though. I hope the Bills win. And matter of fact, I'll say that the Bills beat the Chiefs. That is a great opportunity for all these Bills fans to run their mouth for Josh Allen for MVP. He beat Patrick Mahomes. No one else is beating the Chiefs this year. If he beats Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, you can push that for the MVP campaign since you care about this so much. They keep talking about how the MVP is so irrelevant, but they keep talking about, they keep talking about how irrelevant the MVP is and that they're not focused on it, but they can never shut up about Lamar winning it last year, and they keep bringing it up and saying, Josh Allen keeps getting snubbed. Is the MVP all you care about? You don't. They talk about the MVP more than they talk about winning a championship. That's what these fans are doing online for Bills, like for Bills Mafia. They're legitimately talking more about the MVP than the championship. Does that mean you guys just know you're not going to win? Have Bills Mafia just given up? I know they haven't, but the way y'all talk about the MVP so damn much, one would think that you guys care about that trophy more than you actually care about this team winning a Super Bowl. And that comes down to the fundamental belief that I have that both Ravens and Bills fans have that they don't want to say out loud. But I'm not going to repeat it here. Because we all know what it is. The fear. The fear is there. And I think that's a big part of why Bills fans can't stop talking about the MVP. Because the fear is there. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. It's same with Baltimore. But the difference is Lamar's got these accolades that will get him into the Hall of Fame. Josh Allen, it's a different conversation. Even though we know he's on a pace and he'll deserve to be there at the end of his career, it's a different conversation. The fear is there in Buffalo. They don't want to admit it. That's why they keep talking. They won't admit it. But they're showing it in their actions because they keep talking about the MVP. They're not even close to talking about if this team is really good enough to compete for a championship. Should we focus on the Super Bowl? You would think the Bills fans would ignore the trophy, not care about what they're saying, and focus more on trying to get closer and closer to the Super Bowl. But instead, you get all these Bills fans constantly talking about Josh Allen for MVP and how he deserved it over Lamar. The fear is there. It's in Baltimore, too. But, y'all are showing it with y'all actions right now. Are Bills fans to Ravens fans equivalent to Bears fans and Command? Not necessarily. Because it's not really a one-time thing. Actually, in some cases it feels like it, but in some cases, not really. I wouldn't really equivalent that to because Chicago fans haven't really been talking since that game. Bills fans have been talking for years. It's been a long-going thing. In some cases, I feel like it could be the same just because, both quarterbacks were drafted and everyone's trying to figure out who's the best quarterback. But Lamar and Josh Allen weren't fighting for Rookie of the Year. If anything, we know Baker was going to take it by a landslide. It's an entirely different aspect. It wasn't really a fight for the Rookie of the Year. And nor was it a fight for the MVP because Lamar won his first MVP. Josh Allen was still not. He had a good season, but he didn't have a great season. He was still improving. So it's more of a different situation. Anyway, Chiefs probably going to beat the Bills and we're all going to be pissed. But we'll see. We will struggle against the Steelers like always. Tomlin knows his team as well. It is what it is, man. I'll talk about that when I make my my Ravens Steelers preview video, which will come out in a few days. So just be on the lookout for that. Actually, I'm going to take a look at some of these other comments before I head on out because I'm pretty much done. I've addressed the AFC North. We talked about some of the other games. We're pretty much good to go. Let's see. How you feel about the Chiefs being 9-0? I'm sick to my stomach, but I feel like they're the 2021 version of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, not 2021. They're the 2020 version of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that means they're going to be exposed by a team they shouldn't lose to, probably the Panthers, and they'll lose in the playoffs to a divisional rival, probably the Chargers. And I'll be looking forward to it. I think Justin Herbert's going to get his first playoff win against this team, and I'll be happy to see it. I have a feeling we're dropping this one. I expect it. I hope they prove me wrong, but I already picked them to lose against the Steelers. In terms of my predictions, I'm not picking against my team on a week-to-week basis, but when I made my prediction, I said we would have 5 losses. I picked us to go 12-5 this season. One of the 5 losses would be against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I said we would lose on the road, but we'd get them back in Baltimore. So, yeah, I would not be surprised if they lose this game in the slightest. It's already expected to me. Washington choked the game away. It's unfortunate, man. They had that. Commanders play call on their last drive once they got past the 50 was trash. They just started airing it out, man. I don't know. I felt like if the protection was a little bit better and the refs actually could utilize their eyes and realize he had a first down, we're not talking about this. Looking back at the game versus the Bengals, I don't think the Bengals converted that fourth down conversion in the fourth quarter. We've been screaming that, but it is what it is. His knee was down before extending his arm for the first down. Don't matter, though. Yeah, we've been screaming about that, but it is what it is. We're past that. Having a winning record every year is not enough to be great. I mean, it is what it is, man. Joey Porter Jr. beholden to. Yes, he does. And I was seeing him hold all day yesterday. Mike Williams and Preston Smith being significant contributors in their first game as Steelers is crazy. No, that's just the Pittsburgh Steelers way. They just find a way to make it work. Lions game was crazy last night. It was nasty. It was nasty. Honestly, that should have been a first down, but so I would have been mad too. It is what it is. It is what it is. It was a first down, but whatever. The refs made their choice. They've been awful this year, and they're not going to get penalized. What kind of Steelers fans were annoying you the most? Just the ones talking trash, basically? I mean, really the arrogant ones that just felt the need to constantly run their mouth and rub it in people's faces about how good their team was. And especially after the game. Because I can't talk much more about stuff in the Commanders Stadium and stuff. But while I was busy going to go handle some stuff, I was on the elevator with some other guys, and one of the people that works with CSC, if you don't know what that is, you don't know what that is. She was working the elevator, and she was pretty much just taking us down. And it was just she was like, thank you guys for, hope you guys enjoyed your visit here. Thank you for stopping by. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get the win, so I know everyone's not happy. And there was a Steelers fan that was in the elevator, and he decided to be loud and obnoxious. Like, no, I'm not. I'm happy. I'm not sad at all. I'm happy. Steelers, man, I'm happy. And was just doing that all the way until he finally got to where his stop was, and it was just annoying hearing that in the elevator. So it was just Steelers fans like that, but it is what it is. Don't let this distract him from the fact that St. Jude's the worst cornerback in the league. He's arguably the worst. Bears ought to be ashamed of themselves losing to the Patriots. Yeah, there's some issues there for the most part. You think Marlowe's going to travel with Pickens? We don't run our defense like that. So there's going to be times where Humphrey's on Pickens. There's going to be times where Wiggins is on Pickens. There's going to be times where Stevens is on Pickens. Unfortunately, the Steelers know that the Ravens don't move their corners, so they're just going to move They're going to move George Pickens to wherever Brandon Stevens is consistently. It is what it is. Can we please beat that Mickey Mouse franchise this week? Steelers, Mickey Mouse. It's funny to say that about the Steelers, but when you consistently do this, when they consistently find ways to win, you can't even call it Mickey because they've been doing this for years, man. It's hard. It's hard to really call it that. At some point, it no longer becomes Mickey because if you're doing it for years, you can't just keep calling it Mickey. Caleb's O-line wouldn't even help him up after he got sacked at one play. Yeah, they're a team divided right now. They're absolutely a team divided right now. Chiefs are looking like the Eagles from last year. Luck all the way through the regular season and nosedive. I'm hoping that will be the case, but who knows? You can't bet against Mahomes. It is what it is, man. Yeah, we beat the Steelers in 2022 with Tyler Huntley, Anthony Brown Jr. Okay, that's also, yeah, that is one. I think we did beat them at the, Wait, you said when? Beat Steelers in 2022? We did. I think that was actually the game. Wait, did we? I think we did. Yeah, I think we beat them, but I believe we also lost the Browns because we lost that 24. Because that was the game. No, that was not 2021. Else would it? If we did, I would have to go back and check it. Either way, we don't have a great record against the Steelers. It really don't matter. Shanahan needs to get rid of Jake Moody. Missed 3 field goals versus the Buccaneers. This is unacceptable. He almost cost the 49ers that game. They probably should look to get a new kicker. Steelers can't understand how they dropped that ball on that 2-point conversion in 2021. It's easy. They let the best player on the Steelers get a free release of Lamar Jackson. There was not a single blocker on TJ Watt. That's what happens when you don't block TJ Watt. Look at this. We beat ourselves. We don't lose the teams. Lamar was dotting them up last year, but I'm tired of hearing that we beat ourselves. Nobody's going to give you sympathy points because you keep beating yourselves in football games. How about you stop beating yourselves and actually start beating teams that you should be beating? Tired of hearing we beat ourselves. No one wants to hear that anymore. Do your job. Stop beating yourself and beat the team you're supposed to beat. Bo had a rough September, but since he's been playing pretty well. I like what I'm seeing from Bo Nix, man. He's been doing well for the Broncos. If Steelers don't stop Derrick Henry, that may change. They let Rico Dotto from the Cowboys almost run for 100 yards on them. Different team, I know. Yeah, well, the Cowboys don't have a good running game, so the Steelers aren't concerned with their running game. I think you guys got to understand that sometimes with some of these games, it comes down to matchups and how they view what's best. Against the Cowboys, they felt to stop more of their air attack because they know Dallas can't run the ball well. They didn't come into the game thinking we got to stop this running attack. Dallas was one of the worst running teams in football. They could barely run the ball. So the Steelers weren't thinking the game plan should be to stop the run and force Dak to pass. Their mindset is we got to deal with CeeDee Lamb and we got to make it uncomfortable for Dak so he can force the ball, make mistakes, and we can pick him off. And that's exactly what he did. Unfortunately, they didn't make enough plays and the Cowboys still won. But they had the right game plan. They're not going to have that same game plan with Baltimore. They're not going to sit back and let Derrick Henry go off. Their focus is going to be to stop the run, keep Lamar contained, and force him to pass. And he's going to sit back and say, Lamar, we know they know. We know you can pass the football. But we want to see if your receivers can prove us wrong. We want to see your receivers beat us in those matchups. Because last year, Lamar was dotting them up, but the receivers were dropping the pass. So that defense is going to sit back and say, we want to see Lamar Jackson beat us throwing the ball. But more so, we want to see if these receivers can beat our corners. We saw last year receivers weren't able to get it done against our corners. We believe this year we can get it done. So, again, it's not just about a Lamar performance thing. The team has to show up as well. Because the game plan will be to sort of stop the run. They're going to load the box up, contain Derrick Henry, and they're going to force these receivers to beat them in coverage. That's going to be the game plan. They didn't really run that against Dallas. He didn't turn the ball over in 5 games till last game. The thing that can hurt the Eagles is the coach. Yeah, Nick Sirianni he's just a problem. They're not winning a championship with this guy here anymore. He's got to go. They're winning games in spite of him. What's going on, Loyal to Houston? Bro, we were talking about your team just a few minutes ago. What happened? What happened? You guys had a 15-point lead coming out of halftime. Your defense finishes the game with 5 interceptions. They forced 5 picks on Jared Goff, and y'all scored 0 points in the second half. What's going on with CJ? Because some of the decision makings he had in this game was not good. I get you're hurt. Obviously, Stephon Diggs is out for the season. Nico Collins is back and practicing, but he's not on the field. So, he doesn't have his weapons. But Joe Mixon is still running the ball well, and you still have Tank Dell out there, and you still feel like you should have been able to do something offensively. But the fact that y'all scored 0 points in the second half, that's unexcusable. This is back-to-back games where we look at the Texans and we're just confused as to what we saw offensively. Defensively, they were there, but offensively, we're just confused. And we know you're missing weapons, but offensively, we're confused by what we're seeing with CJ in this group. I don't know what's happening. Even with the loss of the receivers, there's still some issues there. And yeah, we know he's lost his receivers, but Tank Dell was still there, man. Do you think the Ravens will be underdogs in all phases based on pundits on Sunday? No, probably people are probably going to pick the Ravens and say they're barely favored, which, again, I don't know if you want to say that with this defense. I don't think the Ravens should be favored with this defense. I don't care how elite the offense is. The defense stinks. The Steelers are a more well-balanced team than the Ravens right now, so I feel like the Steelers should be favored, but somehow I feel like they're going to favor the Ravens just because of Lamar. The Lamar effect matters. I predict unnecessary penalties will doom the Ravens. Oh, yeah, they're going to get some dumb penalties that's going to cost them down the stretch. Patrick Mahomes barely escaped the Broncos' stupid field goal block. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. It's going to happen against the Chiefs. The Chiefs will beat you with experience, and they find ways to just win in certain situations. The Chiefs will always beat the Bills. The Bills have beaten them 3 times. If we're talking about teams that have actually beaten the Chiefs the most, that's been the Bills. The record between Allen and Mahomes is 4-3. Allen has a 3-1 record against Mahomes in the regular season, but Mahomes has a 3-0 record in the postseason against Allen. So it's a 4-3 split. Allen's going to try to tie it up at 4-4, or Mahomes going to try to extend at 5-3. This will be the first time Steelers play Lamar with Derrick Henry. We will see. They're going to look to stop the run, obviously. They're going to look to stop the run, and it's going to come down to our receivers making plays. Some of the same receivers that were here last year that didn't make those plays, such as Flowers, Bateman, Aguilar, they're still on the team. Will they make the plays this time? We'll have to see. You live in the DMV area? Yep. Refs didn't call a hold on TJ. Refs didn't call holding on the field goal, but everybody complains about the 4th down spot. All good. It's Ravens week. Best rivalry in sports. Shout out to Be More. There were missed calls on both sides. The refs have been garbage every week. The reason why people will complain about that 4th down spot is because it was clear. It's because, one, it was clear, but two, and most importantly, they have the opportunity to go back and review that. In that situation where you're sitting back and saying everyone's complaining about the 4th down spot, the difference between that one and missing holding calls is they never go back and review it. No one's going back. You don't review holding calls or these personal fouls. Nobody's reviewing it. These are non-reviewable plays. It's happening live. We can get on the ref's case all we want, but these guys are human beings. They're not gonna see everything. And there's certain times where holding calls will happen, but it's being blocked. Like the ref's not seeing it within their sight. So it's difficult. These are human beings after all. They're not gonna see everything. If we're gonna be honest, damn near every single play, if you slow down the tape and look at the all 22, nearly every play somebody's holding. Nearly every play somebody's holding. So there's gonna be missed calls. They're human beings after all. There's gonna be some missed calls. But the difference between the misholding that you'll see at times and the 4th down spot is the refs and officials had an opportunity to go look. They ruled it, turnover on downs, but they had an opportunity to take a look at the spot. They took a look at the replay, took a look at that, and still came up with that decision. So if you go and review something and then you still come up with the same wrong decision, that's going to piss people off. So there's a difference. They got to review it. I'm sure if they could have reviewed the holding call on the field goal, they could have been able to say something. Things could happen in these situations. But when you're not able to review a holding call, or you're not able to go back and check to see if a hold was on a play, you're not going to see it all the time. Whereas when you can check to see if a spot's good, that's different. I expect to see Johnson playing wide receiver. He'll probably get more reps. I'm sure Ravens have been favored every game this season except the Chiefs. They're 4.5-point favorites to beat Pittsburgh. I knew they'd be favored against Pittsburgh. It's the Lamar Jackson effect. But it is what it is. Anyway, guys, that is it for me. I am going to head out. This has been the Week 10 State of the AFC North address. We talked about all 4 teams in terms of what they did this week. Of course, Browns were on a bye week. And then we talked about their matchups next week. We also did a quick look at everything that happened on Sunday with these previous games, and we talked about it. So we pretty much covered our whole basis. I'll see you guys pretty much in a few days. Actually, I'll think about something that may happen tomorrow. But I'll see you guys soon. We still have to make our preview for the Ravens-Steelers game, so be on the lookout for that this week. And yeah, we'll be here Thursday night, obviously, because the Commanders and Eagles are going to go at it. So expect me Thursday night for that stream. But other than that, you might see me tomorrow or Wednesday, potentially, in terms of a Ravens-Steelers preview. Or you might see it on Thursday before the game. Who knows? Either way, you'll see me, guys. You'll see me soon within the next few days, guys. So we'll see how things go for the most part. Either way, I'm done here. Tired. Had a pretty good day because this was my day off today. But I'm going to chill out, relax, and get ready to watch this Monday Night Football game between the Dolphins and the Rams. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, you guys take care. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Be sure to stay safe, and peace out.